I have to say I am really honored to speak before the PBUS. I really see your line of work as absolutely essential to a functioning criminal justice system. Your work is sometimes difficult, sometimes dangerous, but from what I can tell, it's always underappreciated. It's underappreciated by the public, and it's underappreciated by policy members, policy makers. And my goal really is to change that. That's been a goal for a long time. And as Robert explained, my practice itself primarily involves large insurance companies, and what I've done for years is construction suretyship and other forms of suretyship, certainly not just bail. About 20 years ago, a large construction client of mine, who also was in the bail business, asked me to become involved in a matter involving some litigation over some contracts. And that turned out, that was a really colorful agency and contract piece of litigation. And I found myself before too long totally involved in the bail industry. And I was quickly drawn into everything, including legislation, as well as the day-to-day operations of bail in a state which is deeply flawed, or at least was deeply flawed. The flaws in the statutes in Colorado made it made operating very difficult. It made them very challenging. And at the time, Colorado was in great need of reform, and quite frankly, I can tell you, it's still a real work in progress. Now, as you see from the slide, what this is about is it's introducing, well, first it's introducing bail to the larger community. But what we're trying to do is to build surety industry respect and appreciation for commercial bail. What Jerry and I want to do is to introduce to you, introduce bail to the larger world of commercial suretyship. We want to talk about the chapter we co-authored for the ABA that explains how bail works, exactly what the fundamentals of bail are, and why it works so remarkably well. And that's what Jerry's going to be getting into with you, which is explaining why bail does such a good job. But my goal here today is to do something a little different than what you've heard in the past. I want you to understand how you fit into the larger industry. The larger industry doesn't know all that much about you. You need to know more about that larger surety industry. So I want you to understand that you are a very important part of a very large industry. Thousands of contract and commercial bonds are issued every day. They're issued to courts. They're issued to federal and state governments. They're issued to contractors and developers. And they're purchased by small businesses and large businesses. They're purchased by multinational businesses. And quite frankly, these are the customers of the commercial bail industry, the purchasers of our bonds. The sureties are, these surety bonds are a key to our economy, okay? Every single type of bond contains different terms and conditions. And these surety bonds involve civil as opposed to criminal law. And that's the world that I essentially come from. All of them involve very distinct and different risks. And they all drive very specialized underwriting requirements and very specialized claim handling needs. And as the surety industry has grown, its trade associations and the attorneys that support it have grown. That's what I want to talk to you about today. First thing I want to do is to bring some organizations to your attention. These are very effective and highly influential organizations that provide support services to the industry as a whole. These include the ABA TIPS section in particular, which is the insurance practice section, and the National Association of Surety Bond Producers, the NASPB, as well as the Fidelity and Surety Association of America. Now, these are all extremely valuable resources to all of us, and I really wish I had more time to explain their wide-ranging influence. But I know that many of you in the audience today are surprised to hear me talk about the fact that the ABA is a supporter. I mean, you're soon going to hear Jerry Watson talk about some standards of the ABA. They're pretty adverse to our industry. They talk about things like wanting to abolish compensated sureties. But after hearing what I have to say, I think you'll understand that the American Bar Association, which is indeed a large and influential association, isn't monolithic. It's not a single piece of stone. It doesn't just speak with one voice. There are a lot of people out there in the ABA that are supporters of you. And it's up to us to make sure they understand what we do. These sections within the ABA that seek to influence criminal justice policies and to clearly damage the interests of bail agents appear to be part of the criminal justice section of the ABA. But I want you to understand there's a large group of civil lawyers who are engaged with insurance companies and the industry, the surety industry itself, that are your supporters. These people are supporters of free enterprise. They're supporters of commercial bail. They're our supporters. One of the largest sections is the tort and insurance practice section, which is TIPS. Now, I am losing track of this little device here. I should be keeping going with this thing, but I've kind of let it go. I took you through some slides that dealt with the tort and insurance practice section, and I wanted you to explain what you were in this industry. Now, the fidelity and surety industry in a nutshell is where we're going to go next. What I want you to understand is that the fidelity and surety industry has been around for hundreds of years. And governments place great confidence in compensated sureties. Hundreds of insurance companies and thousands of people are employed by this industry in a massive infrastructure. The impact doesn't even include the lawyers and consultants who have supported the industry every day and allow it to function in a highly regulated environment. The people who support this industry have a massive commitment to its success. Jerry and I, in the process of writing this article, have done our best to educate the surety industry on what you do. The surety industry needs to understand exactly what it is commercial bail does. They need to have a better understanding of the industry that we play a large part of. Since the late 80s, I've attended January meetings of the American Bar Association Fidelity and Surety Committee in New York. And this is an organization that meets at the Waldorf every year. And there are hundreds of surety lawyers and industry representatives that essentially receive the latest in the publications relating to the surety world. Okay? These publications, for example, from the gathering this year, are extremely well done. This, for example, is one that I've actually used for the cover slide, and it deals with damages in the construction industry. These are very authoritative publications. All the members of the ABA go to these publications for a determination of what the law is and what the current status of the law is, what it looks like now, okay? And so what Jerry and I realized was there was a way to get in front of the ABA and to present bail to these people, to these very influential people who are policymakers, and that's what we try to do. Now, the construction industry itself is huge. You need to understand it's the largest component. the largest profit factor of the surety industry. Insurance agents, who are bond producers every day, issue bonds that cover project owners and lenders and protect them from risks. Private performance bonds are issued on a regular basis to assure that project owners who are attempting to complete large buildings are protected from any kind of loss. Owners are trying to make sure that their projects are protected from mechanics liens and to assure payment that materialmen and suppliers to those projects are taken care of. And I'll tell you, I can assure you that I am kept very busy by insurance companies that see their bonded principals get involved in difficulties. And we wind up having to pay these rightful claims and take care of it. We have to make sure that these claims are efficiently and effectively paid. Why is that? Is because if our surety industry is to be successful, we have to respond to claims, we have to meet public expectations, and we have to make that effort even when the going gets very rough. The key here is professionalism. Professionalism, how you do your work, making sure that what you do is a professional job across the board. In the United States, there are billions of dollars that go into federal projects. Professionalism of agents, professionalism of the world of commercial surety is essential to success on these public projects. Under the Miller Act, which requires all federal projects to be bonded, and where sureties must qualify on the Treasury list, things like airports, dams, towers, et cetera, they simply can't be built without surety bonds. These are large insurance companies issuing these bonds. And state and local governments, they can't build streets, courthouses, they can't build water treatment plants or anything without these surety bonds. These entities place great faith in our industry, great faith in the sureties that issue these bonds, and they expect that our bonds are going to meet their expectations. The industry that you are a part of doesn't just stop with construction. The world of suretyship is incredibly diverse. Now, this slide deals with, for example, license and permit bonds. Surety bonds essentially assure that car dealers deliver title. They assure that contractors don't violate the terms of their licenses. They provide security for financial transactions. They guarantee that land developers meet their obligations. Probate bonds assure heirs that personal representatives don't rip them off and that they meet their financial responsibilities. Supersedious bonds keep defendants from appealing cases and essentially avoiding paying proper judgments. They assure that customs duties are paid. They protect the public from officials who embezzle public money. There are even agricultural bonds like cow bonds that assure that meat packers pay feedlots for the cattle they buy. And of course, there's bail. I just wanted to give you that overview because I want you to understand how large this industry is, how many people are involved in it, how many hundreds of attorneys and how many hundreds of executives are dealing with this business and who are invested in this business. And we want to make sure that they know about you.